Only 7% of the world population are business owners and entrepreneurs. 93% want a good, reliable job. The 7%, us, we're weirdos. We are weirdos. I don't know what happened in our brain to say, well, let's do this. But our job is to give the other 93%, the normal people, something that's predictable.
So I am so excited. I have such a pleasure to meet the one and only Mr. Mike Michalowicz. And I'm going to start by sharing a little bit about you. Of course, then you're going to be much better at describing yourself. So I'm going to share a little bit about who you are, and then you will be able to jump in and add to it. But I want to just start before I even introduce you to say, my husband and I have been in this experience of that, and I'm sure with so many of the people that you've been with, this experience of not knowing where to go in the direction of their money, not knowing where to go in the direction of their business, not knowing what to do. And so I'm excited in just a moment after I introduce you to share with you this little teeny tidbit of story that I'm sure you hear from a lot of different people, but I'm so excited to actually share with you. So welcome to the show. This is
Monica, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about who Mike is. Mike is the entrepreneur behind 3 multi-million-dollar companies, and you did that all before the age of 35, which is amazing and probably a lot of work. You are the author of my favorite book and so much of what we're going to talk about today, The Profit First. You also did Clockwork, The Pumpkin Plan, Fix This Next, and your newest book, Different is Better, Marketing That Gets Noticed and Gets Results. And you're a small business columnist for the Wall Street Journal and regularly travel the globe, obviously before COVID, but as an entrepreneurial advocate. So welcome, 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 Michael. I'm so glad to have you here.
Monica, I am pumped. I want to hear your story, your Profit First story. What happened?
So my husband and I, for years and years and years and years and years, suffered and struggled. We had debt. We had tax debt. And no matter how much money we made, it didn't matter. We were always in the hole. It was always like, we're always behind, always behind. Collection people were calling us. We had, for 15 years, over $95,000 of debt. We would rack up every year. We'd make a little bit more money. The taxes would be higher, but we didn't put anything away. And we kept thinking, where is our money? Where does it keep going? Yeah. So fortunately, I was listening to a podcast with Molly Pittman, and she talked about this guy named Mike and his book, Profit First. And all of a sudden, I said to Jan, I found it. I found it. And so he said, what do you mean? And I had been studying everybody under the sun. I went to The Millionaire Mind. I went to Tony Robbins. I did everything that I could. And it wasn't until you said the sentence that changed our life, which is, it's not about what you know, it's the behavior that it's going to take to change the habits that you've done up till now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that served you. Congratulations. And have you reduced that debt? How you doing on the financial front?
Well, we paid down at the end of 2019, we were up to $112,000 of debt. We were $80,000 behind in our taxes. Through COVID, through creating programs, through Profit First Professionals, through pulling our sleeves up, through amazing Aaron Moger, we are zero credit card debt.
Oh, really?
No credit card debt.
Gosh.
We had been driving a 2012 Toyota Sienna minivan and a 2005 and a 2012 Kia. We just both got new cars, Teslas.
Oh, it feels so good.
Teslas, thank you very much. And not because we weren't responsible, because we used our Profit First money and we saved and we saved and we saved, and we only used 50% of the money. Yeah. We got our taxes down to 50% of what they were, so that we could get rid of all of the lien or any of the threat of what taxes can do. We have a plan to get out of the tax debt this year. Plus, we've already saved close to $60,000 for taxes this year. So you have changed the story of our life. And because of you, we started a program. We're life, business, relationship coaches. We started a program called Profit Mastery. And I'm
Oh.
excited, if we have some time at the end, I'm excited to show you some of the unbelievable results our students are getting because of your system.
I would be honored. Congratulations to you. You're in the land of permanent profit. It keeps going and going now. It's awesome. Oh, I love hearing that. You made my day.
And the opportunity to be able to breathe, Mike, the opportunity to be able to teach my children, the opportunity when we're driving, we have your books playing in the background, and I have a 15-year-old daughter who's an entrepreneur. And
cool.
She says to me, Mom, why are you saying yes to that client? That is not pumpkin planning.
Yeah, go get it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Let's jump into a little bit about you, your story. When I told my students that you were going to be on the call with me, they said their mouths dropped, their eyes open bright, and I started asking them, what are some of the questions that you have? What do you want to know? So in a little bit, we'll get to some of those. But I wanted to know, what is your wake-up moment? What was that moment in your life? Wake up is all about, I struggled through a near-death experience. And as a result of waking up after that, I realized that my whole life and the trajectory of my life was going to change, and how I would serve people was different. So I love to find out, what is your wake-up moment in your life?
Yeah, and it's the greatest gift, right? It doesn't feel like it going through a near-death experience, I can imagine. For me, it was, I built those multi-million-dollar businesses. I actually sold one to a Fortune 500. Another was acquired by private equity, and became a millionaire in my early 30s, self-made. And I thought I was so great. I was so full of myself, just a big schmuck. And I decided to start another business as an angel investor, and it was a calamity. I was a calamity. I had no idea what I was doing. I lost everything. And I remember seeing my bank account dwindling, but I could logically see it dwindle, but emotionally I wasn't ready to accept it. It's like, one client will come in and save the day. Like, I call February 14th, which is Valentine's Day. This is 2008. My accountant said, you have to declare bankruptcy. He's like, this is dangerous now. And he's like, there's no saving you, or liquidate your remaining asset, which was my house. And I decided option 2. I came home to my family. I was in tears because I hadn't been lying to him by omission. Like, everything's fine. It wasn't. I said, we're going to lose our house. We lost our cars. We lost everything. Ironically, we had a 2012 Sienna, so I get it. And not after we recovered. So this is in 2008. After we recovered, that's the car we bought. And that was a pinnacle moment buying that. But before that, I was in 2008 just sobbing in front of my family. My daughter was sitting there along with my other children. And I told her, I said, I can't afford to send you to horseback riding lessons. It was $20 a session. As I said this, she ran out of the room crying. Everyone's crying. And I thought she was running away from me. She actually ran to her bedroom to grab her piggy bank. I'll never forget this. She ran back to me and she goes, Daddy, you can't provide for us anymore, but I'll start doing it. And plops it down. And that moment it was the emotional intensity of it. There was this anger and hatred toward myself. There was this excitement, and I wanted to honor my daughter for doing something so bold. It was her life savings. She wanted to buy a horse one day. And that became a trigger for change. Just to put a little point on that story, it wasn't like the next morning I woke up and said, I'm going to fix this. I went through depression for 2 years. I struggled with it, but I kept on reflecting back upon it and ultimately reconciled with it. And today it put me on a mission. Actually, I have it on my wall. I have it everywhere I go. It says, eradicate entrepreneurial poverty. I don't want everyone, like what you experienced, you and your husband, I don't want anyone to experience that. And I don't think we need to. And as an author, I try to fix that.
Well, and when my husband and I also saw your tagline, that eradicate entrepreneurial poverty, our tagline is eradicate self-inflicted suffering.
No, they're very similar, right?
So
that's
what is the biggest one? Money.
Money. And the other one's time. I wrote a book, Clockwork, to focus on time. The ironic thing is we start our business for 2 reasons. Oh, look at that. Nice. We start our business for 2 reasons, Monica. First, it's for financial freedom. Like, I want to make money. That's one of the primary reasons. The other one is personal freedom. I want to live life as I define it. I want to have availability to do all these things in life. But the 2 biggest things that don't happen when we start a business is financial freedom or personal freedom. We work our ass off and we have no money. So I'm on this mission to resolve that, plus all the other forms of entrepreneurial poverty.
So that is amazing. And I think that's a very, very important part of what people are going to walk away from with this conversation today. So I want to start by thinking about this scenario. You're this guy, you go to Virginia Tech, you get a master's in finance and business, you are this person that's probably thinking you're going to go into financial services or you're going to run businesses or you're going to do something like that. And little by little, as you discover and go through your own wake-up story, you become, little by little, more of a celebrity, a guy who's on stages around the world, a guy who writes books, a guy who really takes his passion for what he had to get out of himself and shares it with other persons. Did you ever expect you would be the Mike Michalowicz you are today?
Oh, no. Thanks for mentioning Virginia Tech. That's my old lacrosse helmet. I used to play lacrosse in college right there. I never thought I'd walk in this journey. So I was, program's too strong of a word, but I was raised to work for one company for the entirety of your life. My parents are some of the last greatest generation folks. My father was in World War II. He's still alive. He's 93. And the idea was you graduate college, you get a job, you work that job until retirement, and they take care of you with a pension plan. Well, I couldn't get a job out of college, not a good one. So I decided to start a business. I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur. I didn't grow up with very entrepreneurial. I fell into it, but I fell in love with it too. And then it was through this experience with my daughter of kind of a reset. I thought it was about pump and dump, build and grow these companies. But I found that actually entrepreneurship is around self-expression. It's around living in a joyous state to contribute to society, to our communities, to our family. It's all about contribution, joy, and how to make that happen. And for me, it was actually in teaching it through books. I did have a little dream at one point, like one day, if I had enough money, I'd be an author. Well, there's an interesting complement to that question. When you have no money, which I had zero, I asked myself, what do I want to be? And I said, I want to be an author. I want that to be my vocation for making money. And when the answer is the same for if I had all the money in the world or if I have no money is the same answer, well, to me, that's a calling. So I was like, I'm all in on this. And it was scary. I had no clue what I was doing. I don't aspire to get recognition or any of that stuff. And let's just be very clear. Like a celebrity to me is like a movie star. I'm like a Z-lister. like I walk through an airport, one person out of every 10,000 will notice me, and it's kind of awkward for them. They're like, it's Mike. And everyone's like, who's this jerk? So it's kind of funny. But it is an absolute privilege to be able to service entrepreneurs, to meet with entrepreneurs, to hear so many powerful stories from throughout the globe. And honestly, for my books to be just a fraction of someone's life is the ultimate privilege. I'm so happy for that.
It's amazing. I also think that when people are finding their way through something that has been generationally patterned inside of them to really get them stuck, you broke, I was looking at kind of where you're from, and Boonton, New Jersey, it's known as a factory place. It was known for its iron. So you have that mindset that's all part of the way that people think about life. And now you not only were breaking norms from your own upbringing, your parents and what they showed you, but you're also breaking norms because society is dealing with that. And I think that's really apropos. People were coming out of college not having a job, and now we're in COVID times and these weird experiences that people are having now where they were comfortable in their jobs. They were comfortable with what they knew. They were comfortable with what they could afford. And the game is upside down. So how do you guide people, reassure people on the mental, emotional level so that they keep going through the program and the books and the lessons that you're teaching?
I challenge some of the popular terms that are used nowadays. So there's terms like pivot, or there's terms like hustle and grind, and I can't stand any of them. So I'll start with hustle and grind. Entrepreneurship, the original definition was someone that has a vision and takes risk by organizing resources and so forth to make that vision a reality. But today it's become bastardized to be entrepreneurship's hustle and grind. Basically, you got to be a workaholic. You better work harder and longer than any human imaginable, sacrifice every element of your life. And that's what entrepreneurship is. And that's not true. Entrepreneurship is not a hustle and grind. Entrepreneurship is about thoughtfulness. It's about coordination. I would argue as an entrepreneur, our biggest job is actually to provide jobs. It's not to do the work. It's to establish an organization that can bring stability and support for other people. Only 7% of the world population are business owners and entrepreneurs. 93% want a good, reliable job. The 7%, us, we're weirdos. We are weirdos. I don't know what happened in our brain to say, well, let's do this. But our job is to give the other 93%, the normal people, something that's predictable. I also hate pivot though. right now, so many businesses are like, I'm going into a business, I got to keep on pivoting. And the concept of pivoting is to adjust our offering to match what clients want. If you sell something and no one wants it, you better adjust it and adjust it again and adjust again until it starts selling. But the problem with this pivot idea is that we're adjusting to customer needs without the consideration of our own needs. I've seen people pivot into businesses they loathe. They hate what they're doing. And the whole idea is to be joyous and to be of service. So the better choice of words and kind of actions is alignment. Alignment is where we have clarity on our vision, our calling, if you want to use those terms, or whatever you feel the most joy in doing. And then find the community that resonates with them. Of course, it must serve them, but it also must serve us. That's what I'm telling entrepreneurs now as they enter the entrepreneurial space.
I think that's really important. A big part of our audience are people that are entrepreneurs, and they are used to the grind and the hustle, and they burn out. And once they burn out, like you've shared, it's hard to even have creativity inform and help you direct, where am I going to go next? What am I going to do? So when you're dealing with, and I'm thinking for you, like you have a lot of different books and a lot of different places where you insert your genius. So if someone like you has a lot of those different places where they insert their genius, what would you suggest to them in order to make sure that they're completing cycles of action and moving what they want to do forward?
Yeah. So kind of my zone of genius. Now, there's certain words I don't like. I just don't like genius. I don't think like you got Albert Einstein here. Far from it. I'm just like a regular guy.
Just a zone.
Yeah, I got my zone. And I actually consider myself a little bit of a simpleton, meaning I can't really comprehend complex stuff. It confuses me so much. It frustrates me. Therefore, I need to find shortcuts and alternatives to simplify things. So it actually ends up becoming a talent that I can take complex ideas, refine it down to the most simple essence, because honestly, that's the only way I can comprehend the stuff. So that's what I do with all my books. What I've done is very quickly from day one, started building a team. So when I became an author in 2008, I already started bringing people on, even though in the traditional sense, I couldn't afford them. The true sense is I couldn't afford not to have them. Now, the key was I didn't bring on like full-time employees. I think one mistake entrepreneurs make is they're a solopreneur and they say, oh, I'll bring another person on. That's radical growth. That's 100% growth. That's like Google saying today, who has 100,000 employees, saying, we're going to add 100,000 employees tomorrow. Like that would be absurd. But that's also 100% growth. It's the identical growth we do. So we actually have to bring in what I call fractionalized employees. If we broke ourselves into pieces and all the things we do, what are the elements we can start delegating out? And first, it starts off, at least for me, with some administrative stuff, allowing me to focus more and more on the work I do, simplifying concepts. Ultimately, as I moved up to higher levels, I even have for my books a co-writer now. I write my books, but in a partnership with my partner, AJ Harper, and we work on our books. So it's truly the best of what I know presented in the best way. So I've teamed talents with her to get the word out. It's also being disciplined and not sticking my nose in things. So, we have 14 people that work here at my office. Kelsey's our president, and she's regularly got to say, and she says it so kindly, she's like, stay out. Don't mess with us. Don't mess with the mojo. Because a business owner, we exert influence without even realizing it. We own the business. We control the paychecks. When we say, oh, I need to get this right away, it is taken like, oh, abandon all work, get this thing done for Mike right away. They may be working on some project that's going to generate significant revenue, and I'm asking to look up someone's phone number. I'm actually messing up with the mojo. So the discipline and putting the guardrails in place where I don't interject or intercept the work people are doing is very important.
Amazing. I think that that's a very powerful tip. And I also think people, they feel like they have to do everything. Yeah. And they don't give up the thing. So how do you discern what are the tasks that are for you and what are the tasks that are not for you?
Yeah. So that's the biggest danger of entrepreneurial growth is the belief that we can do everything and we must do everything. We'll start with must. Of course, you mustn't do everything. In fact, that belief alone prohibits growth. If you must do everything, you can only grow to within your capability. And all of us only have 24 hours a day, and none of us can work that long because we have to get some rest and recovery. So our effectiveness of the growth of the organization is limited by the must, but the can do everything is probably even more insidious because can do everything. We actually believe we can do everything well. And that's not true. We can do everything, but we actually suck at most of it. But we haven't given our colleagues or support or virtual help the opportunity to prove they can do it better. So what I do is I look at the stuff I'd like to do least first and say, let me just get this off my plate, because now I'm moving more to a zone of joy. So like invoicing, copy editing and proofreading, and certain elements, I started outsourcing that. And sure enough, people come back and it is superior work, if I'm willing and ready to admit that, which is sometimes hard to admit someone does superior work. Sometimes, and this is actually the key, someone comes back and there's a mistake. They didn't achieve the standard I expected. What I used to do is then insert myself and say, you didn't do it right. Let me show you how to do it, which is a grand mistake because now I'm reasserting myself and taking the job back over. What I found is the best thing to do is simply to acknowledge and agree to outcomes with my colleagues and simply hold each other accountable to that. So instead of saying, here's how you do invoicing, I simply say, our invoices need to be accurate. They need to get out every Friday. Do we agree to that and the importance? If they agree to the outcome, they can use our best practice. They can navigate another way. As long as that outcome is being achieved, we're having success. And in many cases, they find a better, more efficient path, something that works more with their style or whatever to get the same results. So it's been the key of getting rid of stuff I don't like, but true delegation. Now, I'm not managing tasks. I'm not a micromanager. I'm delegating and just holding people accountable to the outcomes itself.
Amazing. I want to share with you. So I think of your work, your body of work, as a suite of expertise.
Oh, I love that.
And the reason that I think of that way is because you start with the toilet paper entrepreneur and you move through the way the mind seems to mentally process what's next, what's next, what's next. So can you, in a small summary, maybe you're great at this, maybe I'm asking you to do something on the fly here, but can you, as you wrote your books and you were walking someone how to actually think about their life, their business, and the places to put the most focus, can you walk us through each of your suite of enterprise, each of your books,
Sure,
and how each one of them supports the next task?
Yeah. Okay. So the first book I wrote was Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. It was an irreverent book. And the core thesis of that book was what I identified is that the lack of resources is our biggest advantage. So when you don't have that network of contacts to build your business, it actually forces you to build a network, to find ways to build relationships. When you don't have resources like money or experience, well, no experience, you start breaking the rules of the industry, which is the best way to stand out. No money, you become innovative. So that was that book. Then I wrote, after that was The Pumpkin Plan. And what I try to do is I use what's called biomimicry, taking something from nature and translating it into a business application. There is a specific step-by-step process we can follow to facilitate the fastest, healthiest organic growth. I actually took it from growing colossal pumpkins. So that's what that was. The book after that I wrote was, I think it was Surge. Again, on biomimicry, I was studying wave patterns in the ocean, how surfers leverage that to ride a wave into the ocean. And one fascinating observation is, and we know this, is a surfer only rides one wave at a time. They don't try to split two. And if they're not on a good wave, they'll look behind them and it's called dumping a wave. You dump out and then you grab another wave. Well, I found in business, the best way to grow a business is to catch the momentum of a market, the wave patterns. Don't try to do multiple things at once. Serve one community with one specific need and ride that big wave as far as you can. So strategies around that. It's actually one of my favorite books I wrote. Then Profit First, I studied why there was a statistic that came out from the SBA. 83% of businesses are surviving check by check. Why is that? We start businesses to make money. Why do we all live check by check? Why do we have debt we're racking up? And then it's like, oh my God, it's not us. It's the stupid formula. We are told that sales minus expenses equals profit, which makes logical sense. But behaviorally, when profit comes last, it means it's last. It's insignificant. It can wait till tomorrow. It's the manana syndrome. So I flipped the formula. It's sales minus profit equals expenses. And in practice, every time revenue comes into your firm, you take a predetermined percentage of profit, you hide it away, and then your business tells you what's truly available to operate. You guarantee your profitability. Then I wrote, I think it was Clockwork next. That's about business efficiency. I went back to studying biomimicry. Biomimicry is powerful because Mother Nature spent billions of years figuring things out. I like to borrow from her talent and just apply it to what I'm doing. In biomimicry, how I applied it in Clockwork was I studied bees, how bees can scale their organization or their business. Cute. Their business. I translated that into business, how we can run extremely efficient and scale. And there's some very specific things. The most important thing is this thing called the QBR, which is the queen bee role. It's the heart of every organization. And if we don't know that core activity that keeps our business rolling, we're in jeopardy. And most small businesses don't. So this is a technique to pinpoint what it is and make sure it's served. Then I wrote, I think Fix This Next came after that. And Fix This Next is a strategy to find what your business needs from you. The best analogy is this. I hear from entrepreneurs all the time, I'm working on everything, but nothing's working. Why not?
Stop working on everything.
Yeah. So if there was a chain between you and me, Monica, and we were trying to strengthen the chain, the mistake would be to fix all the links to work on everything. The key is actually to first identify the weakest link, because it'll always break where that weakest link is. But if we strengthen simply that one and only link, the entire chain is now stronger to the point of wherever the next weakest link is. And if we fix that next, it gets stronger again. So Fix This Next is a way to strategize on what to fix, to pinpoint it, fix it, and move on to the next thing, one thing at a time. And then I think I covered them all. There's one more book that's coming out right now. It's called Get Different. It was going to be called Different is Better, but we've retitled it to be more authoritative.
Oh, good.
We've got to get different.
I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, we got to get different. And what I mean by this is it's a marketing book. The number one way to get noticed is to be noticeable. Most of us comply with industry best practices. We do what everyone else is doing. And just by that definition, we're invisible. So this is a strategy to get noticed. And it's not about being outrageous. It's just doing something different. If you're watching the video here, this bookcase behind me is a get different strategy. Everyone has bookcases. I want to do a little spin on it. So I made it into a tree and people notice.
Yeah, I love the tree. And I've seen it in many of your videos. And I think it's really great.
Books.
We need your last one. We need your Get Different book.
Yeah, that's going to go up there soon. It literally, I submitted the manuscript about 2 weeks ago, and the cover design just got finished. So my publisher will send the book over probably in the next month or two.
And then
it comes out in September, by the way, 21.
Great. That's my birthday. So that will be my...
Oh, no, when? Mine is too.
September 7th.
Nice. September 24th.
Okay. So one final question for you, because I know we're getting to the end of this. So if you were to give someone a pinpointed suggestion on how to prioritize what it is that they are asking themselves to be able to implement some of the things that you have taught in so many of your books, what would be that one single piece of advice that would really help someone get super crystal focused and clear on what's next for them?
Yeah, I would go for your frustration. I would really look and say, what of all things I do frustrates me most? Because that identifies what's called a time pile or bottleneck. Whenever something gets stuck in our chi or in our business, that is the point to focus on. I actually started doing acupuncture recently, and I'm like, oh, my foot is hurting. And she's like, oh, you simply need a pin here in your shoulder because your fascia is out of the loop. And if we fix that, you'll feel like the entire improvement in health. And sure enough, poke, I'm like, oh my gosh, my foot feels better. The mistake is we go for what's demanding our attention, the pain in the foot, the email that's coming in, the questions outside the door. But that's actually not the resolution point. That's like taking aspirin. It'll get rid of that pain for a minute, but what's the overall cause? And usually it's the point of frustration. So get real clear on what frustrates you most about your business. What is holding you back most about your life? Focus on resolving that number one frustration, and you'll see everything opens up.
The domino effect. I love
the domino effect.
And you have something that you are launching coming up soon, this writing course that's happening in April. And is there anything else that you wanted to share about? I'd love to tell my audience how to find you, what to do with you, all those things.
Well, wow. I'm honored that you're offering me the shows. So I'm doing a program I call Next Level Author. This is something I do once in a blue moon. Like, this is the second time in my life that I'm hosting something like this. I believe in nothing more than the power of books. For $25, you get someone's life's work and knowledge. And all the notes are taken for you. It's like unbelievable. It blows away any course, anything else, because it's all right there. So I am teaching a course on how to produce books that sell and have the impact they should. I don't believe the world needs more books. I believe the world needs to discover the great books. So I'm inviting any author, new author, aspiring author, anyone that has a book that's out there. If you have a book or aspire to write a book and it's good and it needs to serve the world, I'm doing this 2-day course. It's live, virtually, and in person. So there's either option, where I'm teaching everything I know on how to get a book marketed, how to negotiate contracts with the publisher, how to structure a book, how the title alone is absolutely critical in a simple method to find a winning title. I'm teaching all that. And if someone's interested, I think we have a website for it, but the best thing is to email me, mike@mikemichalowicz.com. I know that last name is a doozy to spell, but you can Google it, mike@mikemichalowicz.com, and just put in, I want to be a next level author, and we'll get you the details to show up.
Amazing. Well, it is my pleasure. It is my honor to have been in this conversation with you, to share with you how much of an impact and a difference you've made in my family, my generations. My 3 children are going to be different because of the work that you've done with us. And my husband and I are happier, healthier, and more in love because our money is handled. So
I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Monica. I am so proud of the success you've had.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.